Right now, Russia is a place most of us can't visit, won't visit, or have completely written off the map. And yet it remains the world's largest country, spanning 11 time zones, holding landscapes so extreme they defy imagination. While sanctions close borders and headlines dominate conversations, there's a Russia that exists beyond the politics. The deepest lake on Earth, holding 20% of the world's fresh water, volcanic valleys where bears outnumber humans, golden-domed cities frozen in medieval time, and a railway journey crossing 1/3 of the planet. This isn't about current events, it's about geography, history, and places that existed long before today's conflicts and will remain long after. From the Arctic tundra, where the northern lights dance, to the subtropical beaches hosting Olympic resorts, from imperial palaces rivaling Versailles to Siberian wilderness, where temperatures hit -70 degrees Celsius, Russia's extremes are unmatched. Subscribe to 4K Relaxation Scene as we journey through 20 destinations in the world's most inaccessible country, showing you the Russia that geography created, not politics. Moscow is the capital where the Kremlin Fortress, the Red Square, and the Onion Domes create the Russian heart. The Kremlin is the fortified complex with the walls dating to 1495, housing the government, the cathedrals, and the Armory Museum with the Fabergé eggs and the Tsarist treasures. Red Square stretches 330 meters long between the Kremlin and the gum department store. St. Basil's Cathedral, built in 1561, has the 9 colorful onion domes, each unique with the patterns and the colors. The Lenin's Mausoleum displays the preserved body since 1924. The Cathedral of Christ the Savior, demolished by Stalin in 1931, was rebuilt in 1997 as the tallest Orthodox church at 103 meters. The Moscow Metro is the palatial underground with the chandeliers, the mosaics, and the marble. And visit from May to September for the mild weather, avoiding the winter cold, dropping to -30 degrees Celsius. Have you walked Red Square, watching the onion domes of St. Basil's Cathedral? St. Petersburg is the imperial capital where the Hermitage Museum, the Winter Palace, and the 300 bridges create the Venice of the North. The city was founded by Peter the Great in 1703 as the window to Europe. The Hermitage is one of the world's largest museums with 3 million items housed in the Winter Palace and 5 connected buildings. The collection includes the Leonardo da Vinci, the Rembrandt, and the Michelangelo spanning centuries. The city has 342 bridges crossing the canals and the Neva River. The Church of the Savior on Spilled Blood, built on the assassination site of Alexander II in 1881, has the colorful onion domes and the mosaic interior covering 7,500 square meters. The White Nights from June to July have the 24-hour daylight. And visit from May to September for the pleasant weather and the White Nights, avoiding the dark winter. Have you explored the Hermitage's 3 million artworks in the Winter Palace? Lake Baikal in Siberia is the world's deepest lake, with a 1,642-meter depth, the 20% of Earth's fresh water, and the 25-million-year age create the ancient sea. The lake stretches 636 kilometers long, containing more water than all the North American Great Lakes combined. The water is so clear that visibility reaches 40 meters. Over 1,700 species are endemic, including the Baikal seal, the only freshwater seal. The lake freezes from January to May, with the ice reaching 1 meter thick, creating the transparent surface, allowing the driving and the walking. The ice creates the turquoise formations and the cracks from the thermal expansion. The surrounding mountains and the forests create the pristine setting. The Trans-Siberian Railway runs along the southern shore. And visit from February to March for the ice or July to August for the summer swimming. Have you walked on the frozen surface of the world's deepest lake, holding 20% of Earth's fresh water? Kazan on the Volga River is the Tatar capital, where the Kremlin, the Kolsharif Mosque, and the Russian-Tatar fusion create the multicultural city. The city is 1,000 years old, founded as the Volga-Bulgaria capital. The Kazan Kremlin is the UNESCO fortress, with the Orthodox Annunciation Cathedral and the Kolsharif Mosque side by side, symbolizing the religious coexistence. The mosque, rebuilt in 2005, has the turquoise domes and the 4 minarets. The Suyumbika Tower leans 1.98 meters, the Russia's Leaning Tower of Pisa. The Tatar cuisine includes the chak-chak, the honey pastry, and the echposhmak, the meat pies. The city hosted the 2018 World Cup. The Tatarstan Republic maintains the distinct identity with the Tatar language and the culture. Visit from May to September for the warm weather, avoiding the winter cold. Have you seen the mosque and the cathedral standing side by side in the Kremlin? Kamchatka Peninsula in the Russian Far East is the volcanic wilderness where the 300 volcanoes, the Valley of Geysers, and the Brown Bears create the pristine frontier. The peninsula is 1,250 kilometers long, with 29 active volcanoes. The Valley of Geysers, discovered in 1941, is the second largest geyser field with 90 geysers and the hot springs. The Kronotsky Nature Reserve protects the volcanoes, the geysers, and the wildlife, including the 700 brown bears. The Klyochevskaya Sopka, at 4,750 meters, is Eurasia's highest active volcano, erupting regularly. The peninsula is accessible only by air, with no roads connecting to the mainland. The salmon runs attract the bears fishing in the rivers. The hiking and the helicopter tours explore the volcanic landscapes. Visit from July to September for the accessible weather, avoiding the winter isolation. Have you flown over the Valley of Geysers, where 90 geysers erupt in the volcanic wilderness? Sochi on the Black Sea coast is the subtropical resort where the palm trees, the Olympic venues, and the Caucasus Mountains create the summer capital. The city stretches 145 kilometers along the coast, the world's longest city. The subtropical climate allows the palm trees and the tea plantations despite the latitude matching Quebec. The 2014 Winter Olympics were held in the mountains above, with the ski resorts accessible by the cable car. The Stalin-era architecture lines the promenade. The Sochi Arboretum has the 1,800 species of subtropical plants. The Grand Prix of Russia was held at the Sochi Autodrome from 2014 to 2021. The city serves as the summer retreat with the beaches and the mild winters. Visit from May to October for the beach season, avoiding the winter rain. Have you skied the Olympic Mountains above the palm-lined Black Sea beaches? Altai Mountains in southern Siberia are the remote peaks where the glaciers, the turquoise rivers, and the nomadic culture create the Golden Mountains. The range spans Russia, Mongolia, China, and Kazakhstan, with the Russian Altai being the wildest section. The Beluga Mountain, at 4,506 meters, is the highest peak, covered in the glaciers. The Khatun River flows turquoise from the glacial melt through the valleys. The Karakol Valley has the ancient petroglyphs and the burial mounds. The region is the UNESCO World Heritage Site. The Altai people maintain the nomadic traditions with the yurts and the horse herding. The region is remote, requiring the multi-day journeys from the nearest cities. The landscapes inspired the Shambhala legends. Visit from June to September for the accessible mountain passes, avoiding the winter snow. Have you hiked the remote mountains where the glacial rivers flow turquoise through the valleys? Vladivostok on the Pacific coast is the naval city where the Golden Bridge, the terminus of the Trans-Siberian Railway, and the Japanese Sea create the eastern frontier. The city was founded in 1860 as the military outpost, becoming the Pacific Fleet base. The city was closed to foreigners until 1992 due to the military significance. The Golden Bridge, spanning 1,388 meters, connects the city across the Golden Horn Bay. The Ruski Bridge to Ruski Island is the world's longest cable-stayed bridge at 1,104 meters. The city is 9,288 kilometers from Moscow, the longest distance within Russia. The hills and the bays create the San Francisco comparison. The seafood markets sell the king crabs and the sea urchins. Visit from May to September for the mild weather, avoiding the winter cold and the fog. Have you reached the Trans-Siberian Railway terminus, 9,288 kilometers from Moscow? Kizhi Island in Lake Onega is the open-air museum where the wooden churches, the 22-dome Transfiguration Church, and the peasant architecture create the UNESCO heritage. The Transfiguration Church, built in 1714, has 22 domes constructed entirely of wood without nails. The legend says the builder Nestor threw his axe into the lake after completion, declaring, "There never was and never will be another church like this one." The Intercession Church has 9 domes. The island has 80 historic wooden structures relocated from Karelia, including the houses, the windmills, and the chapels. The wooden architecture demonstrates the northern Russian building traditions. The island is accessible by the hydrofoil from Petrozavodsk, taking 1.5 hours. Visit from June to August for the boat access, with the winter closing the routes. Have you seen the 22-dome wooden church built without nails in 1714? Peterhof Palace, near St. Petersburg, is the summer residence where the 173 fountains, the Grand Cascade, and the palace gardens create the Russian Versailles. The palace was built by Peter the Great from 1714 to 1755, rivaling Versailles. The Grand Cascade has 64 fountains, with the 255 statues descending from the palace to the Gulf of Finland. The fountains operate without pumps, using the natural pressure from the springs on the nearby hills. The Samson Fountain shoots water 20 meters high. The palace has the gilded interiors and the throne rooms. The Germans destroyed the palace during the siege of Leningrad, requiring the extensive post-war restoration. The gardens cover 414 acres with the pathways and the fountains. Visit from May to September when the fountains operate, avoiding the winter closure. Have you watched the 64 fountains of the Grand Cascade descending to the Gulf of Finland? Veliki Novgorod is the medieval city where the Kremlin, the 11th century cathedral, and the Republic history create the birthplace of Russia. The city, founded in 859, was the Rus' capital before Kiev and Moscow. The city was the medieval republic from 1136 to 1478, governed by the assembly rather than the prince. The Kremlin, built in 1044, is Russia's oldest, with the 1,487-meter walls encircling the complex. The St. Sophia Cathedral, built in 1052, is one of Russia's oldest churches, with the Byzantine frescoes. The Millennium of Russia monument, erected in 1862, depicts 129 figures from Russian history. The city escaped the Mongol conquest, preserving the medieval architecture. The city is 180 kilometers south of St. Petersburg. Visit from May to September for the comfortable, exploring weather. Have you explored Russia's oldest Kremlin in the Republic that governed by assembly for 300 years? Murmansk, above the Arctic Circle, is the polar city where the northern lights, the polar night, and the ice-free port create the Arctic capital. The city, at 68 degrees north, is the world's largest city above the Arctic Circle, with 270,000 residents. The city is the world's largest ice-free port above the Arctic Circle, kept open year-round by the Gulf Stream. The polar night, from December to January, has 24-hour darkness, while the midnight sun, from May to July, has 24-hour daylight. The northern lights, aurora borealis, are visible from September to March, with the peak in December to February. The Lenin nuclear icebreaker is the museum ship. The Alyosha Monument is the 42-meter memorial to the World War II Arctic defenders. Visit from December to February for the Northern Lights, or June to July for the midnight sun. And have you watched the Northern Lights dance during the polar night above the Arctic Circle? Irkutsk in Siberia is the historic city where the wooden architecture, the proximity to Lake Baikal, and the exile history create the Paris of Siberia. The city, founded in 1686, prospered from the fur trade and the gold mining. The city has 685 historic buildings, including the ornate wooden houses with the carved window frames, the Nalichniki. The Decembrists, the aristocrats who attempted the 1825 coup, were exiled here, with their museums preserved. The Church of the Savior, built in 1706, is Irkutsk's oldest stone building. The city is 70 kilometers from Lake Baikal, serving as the gateway. The city is the stop on the Trans-Siberian Railway. The temperature ranges from -40 degrees Celsius in winter to 35 degrees Celsius in summer, demonstrating the continental extremes. Visit from May to September for the mild weather. Have you explored the wooden houses with the carved windows in the Paris of Siberia. Kaliningrad on the Baltic Sea is the Russian exclave where the German heritage, the amber, and the separated geography create the unique region. The city was Königsberg, the Prussian capital, until 1945, when the Soviet Union annexed it. The city is separated from Russia by Lithuania and Poland, requiring the transit visa or the flight. The cathedral island has the 14th century cathedral and the Immanuel Kant tomb. The city was destroyed in World War II with the Soviet reconstruction. The amber industry mines 90% of the world's amber from the Baltic deposits. The Curonian Spit is the UNESCO sand dune peninsula shared with Lithuania. The Soviet architecture dominates, with the few German buildings surviving. Visit from May to September for the Baltic beach season and the mild weather. Have you visited the Russian exclave, separated from Russia by 2 countries? Nizhny Novgorod, at the Volga and Oka rivers' confluence, is the historic city where the Kremlin, the Chkalov staircase, and the Volga views create the merchant capital. The city, founded in 1221, was the major trade center on the Volga. The Kremlin, built in 1508 to 1515, has the red brick walls and the 13 towers overlooking the rivers. The Chkalov staircase has 560 steps climbing from the Volga to the monument. The city was closed to foreigners from 1959 to 1991 as the military-industrial center. The Nizhny Novgorod Fair was the largest trading fair in the 19th century. The city is Russia's 5th largest, with 1.2 million residents. The cable car crosses the Volga, the longest river crossing in Europe, at 3.66 kilometers. Visit from May to September for the pleasant weather and the Volga cruises. Have you climbed the 560 steps from the Volga to the Kremlin overlooking the river? So there you have it. 20 destinations revealing Russia's extremes from the Arctic tundra to the subtropical coast. From the deepest lake to the longest railway, from medieval Kremlins to volcanic wildernesses. This is the Russia that geography created. The 11 time zones, the brutal winters reaching -70 degrees Celsius, the endless birch forests, and the imperial palaces that rivaled Europe's finest. Beyond today's headlines and tomorrow's politics, these places remain. Lake Baikal will still hold 20% of Earth's fresh water. The Trans-Siberian will still cross 1/3 of the planet, and the Northern Lights will still dance above the Arctic Circle. If these extreme Russian landscapes captivated you, smash that subscribe on 4K Relaxation Scene for more 4K journeys to the world's most remote destinations. Drop a comment telling me which Russian extreme shocked you most. Are you Team Natural Wonders, like Baikal and Kamchatka, Team Imperial Heritage, like the Hermitage and Peterhof, or Team Remote Frontiers, like the Arctic and Siberia? Until next time, remember that the world's largest country holds landscapes that transcend the moment we're living in.